This is the 50th edition of this magazine, and I believe it is about wisdom this time. Word to the wise. So, as usual, I wanted to have a little flip through of this together and see what is inside. Wisdom is the idea of a practical use of reason, Immanuel Kant. Here we have the forward. Wisdom. We tend to associate wisdom with age, and while it's true that some people grow older and wiser, many simply age. Time alone doesn't do the work for us. Of course, experience can sharpen judgment, but it can also entrench habit, prejudice, or overconfidence, and unfortunately, having lived through something once doesn't guarantee a clearer understanding the next time around. While intelligence can be demonstrated, expertise displayed, and opinions aired with confidence, wisdom is much harder to spot. It often appears as hesitation rather than decisiveness, silence rather than speech, and refusal to act when action is expected. Philosophers have long been aware of this. Socrates distrusted certainty. Aristotle distinguished knowing from judging well. And thinkers in China warned that rigid knowledge can obstruct perception. Much later, Immanuel Kant put it plainly: wisdom is the idea of a practical use of reason. Wisdom, on this view, is not abstract brilliance, but reason exercised under real conditions with consequences. Modern life doesn't appear to reward wisdom. We are encouraged to decide quickly, speak confidently, and defend our views. Yet wisdom often requires the opposite, the willingness to pause, to revise, and to accept that the situation at hand may not fit our preferred narrative. Although wisdom may well be quiet and measured, and often only recognized in retrospect, the thought of that shouldn't deter us. As Kierkegaard wrote, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And that was from Zandberg, Editor-in-Chief. Let us have a look. This is the page of our contributions. We've got a few names I recognise here: Niall Warburton, Russell Herneman, the myth This article seems very, very interesting. I tend to agree with what it is saying here, that just time alone doesn't make you wise. I think there's a lot of older adults who think that they are wiser than everyone just because they're older, and that causes a lot of problems. I like this little brain. This here is an article, you can't see it, but it is called Selective Memory. Also very true. And here of course we have the obligatory page of all of the new Philosopher editions. I have quite a few actually. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 22 editions. I've got, let me see, all of these ones here. I've got this one, 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 this one. I think a few others, I don't know what I've missed, and obviously this one. This says, don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand and ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? You'll be embarrassed to answer. Then remind yourself that past and future have no power over you, only the present, and even that can be diminished. Just mark off its limits, and if your mind protests that it cannot endure even this, then reapproach it for its weakness. And that of course was by Marcus Aurelius. Here we have a little ancient Greek cartoon. And here we have a little timeline of Western wisdom, starting with Socrates. Socrates reshaped the idea of wisdom by refusing to equate it with knowledge or expertise. Aristotle distinguishes theoretical knowledge from practical wisdom. 4000 BCE, Roman Stoics redefined wisdom as inner freedom. Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius argue that wisdom lies in recognizing what is within our control and releasing concern for what is not. Around 12,000 BCE, medieval philosophers conceive wisdom as coherence and structure. With Mondiar, wisdom turns inward, skeptical of certainty. He treats wisdom as knowing oneself, including one's limitations, habits, and contradictions. Here at around 1700 BCE, Enlightenment thinkers link wisdom to rational inquiry and evidence. Authority gives way to method, and belief must be justified through a reason. Sorry, there's a bug. In the 1800s, with Darwin, wisdom expands across time. Human understanding is placed within deep natural processes, unsettling older certainties about purpose and design. In the 1900s, modern philosophy and psychology emphasize perception, emotion, and judgment under certainty. Here in the 2000s, modern-day thinkers describe wisdom as sustained attention to what matters. In a world of constant observations and data, wisdom lies in care, responsibility, and judgment. It is less about certainty or speed, and more about knowing how and when to look, listen, and act. A word to the wise. Practical wisdom is much a way of perceiving the world and knowing how to apply broad or vague principles to specific concrete situations. If happiness is activity in accordance with virtue, it is reasonable that it should be in accordance with the highest virtue, and this will be that of the best thing in us, whether this be intellect or something else that is thought to rule and lead us by nature, and to contemplate what is noble and divine, whether it be itself divine or only the most divine element in us. The activity of this in accordance with its proper virtue will complete happiness. That this activity is contemplative, we have said, and this seems to be in accord with what we said before and with the truth. For this activity is the best, since intellect is the best thing in us, and the objects of intellect are the best of knowable things, and it is also the most continuous, since we are able to contemplate truth more continuously than we can do anything else. Aristotle. A clear look. Nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. Words of wisdom. Wisdom and philosophy. us, it's not surprising that they fight back. We need to recognize that morality is very different from legality, and that immorality is honed by our mindlessness. Mindfulness is the process of actively noticing new things. Ellen J. Langer. This is a really beautiful picture. Wisdom. The word comes from Old English, which comes from Frisian, and then Middle Dutch, Old High German, and then Norse. Oh, this image is stuff. This is called Lessons from Stupidity. Love that. Anyone who has common sense will remember that the bewilderment of the eyes are of two kinds, and arise from two causes, either from coming out of the light or from going into the light. We have some quotes here. The wise man does not test the depths of the river with both feet. Wisdom involves the application of intelligence, creativity, and knowledge towards the common good. Wisdom lies not in accumulation, but in awareness. Empathy is a spotlight focusing on certain people in the here and now, but leaving others in the dark. They always have one that is flipped this way. The wisdom of men. This is a cool image too. This is interesting. My parents were always afraid of hell. They didn't want any of their 9 children to end up there, so gave us ritual confession and humility, leaving us at the head of the trail that leads to heaven. Even when I disagreed with my parents, I appreciated their religious impulse. I also inherited it. My siblings and I still fear hell, but for many of us it is now figurative instead of literal. One of my sisters feels convicted to save us from temptation in the form of sugar, and since religious impulses tend to turn boundary-respecting individuals into evangelists, the sister uses the word healthy and a lot and advises us, even when we don't ask, to stop buying bread because it's over-processed. Another sibling is out to save the world from the wrong side of history, texting the family chat TikToks about Trump's cruelty. My religious impulse concerns technology. I'm on a crusade to keep my children and siblings, when I'm feeling anxious, away from amusing themselves to death. A borrow Neil Postman's phrase. In my mind, we are headed towards a hell on earth, where people speak in memes and scroll their way out of living. The elders from the day of pre-smartphone yore are prophets, hoarsely pleading us to turn back to the gods of creativity, imagination, and books. But the younger ones' attention spans are too weak to listen all the way through. We are doomed, I'm convinced, and the fear and trembling I feel as I stand at the foot of our imploding civilization causes no small amount of tension in my household. It comes from a good place. I want my teens and pre-teen to be able to smell an impending rain shower when they step outside. I want their sides to ache from laughing with a friend late at night. I want them to make something, anything with their hands, from music to socks to trick shots to painting to bread to bracelets. I want them to be able to tell a migrette from a Monet, to connect with Langston Hughes or Andre Gibson, and to itch over how butterflies happen. I want heaven for my sweet Baba cocooning in the years between lava and adult. But tragically I end up talking more about hell. My religious impulse, like my parents' religious impulse, involves more stay away than look outwards. Very interesting. Here is some global wisdom. Navigating complexity. I know everything there is to know about the limits of knowledge. The afterword here. The wisdom of crowds. The greatest good for man is to discuss virtue every day, and those other things about which you hear me conversing and testing myself and others, for the unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. This is artistic wisdom. I love this. Cats. Amazing, love that. As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame. Here is library of books they recommend. I have this book. I do want to get to do reading it. By Plato, a form of wisdom. Center of the circle. Here are some documentaries they recommend. And just like that, we have made it to the end of the magazine. Here is a funny little graphic. I really enjoy reading this magazine because it just is so fascinating and really gets you